Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to our weekly Learn in Your Lunchtime webinar. Absolutely super to have you all with us today. Hopefully you're in the mood for learning about a success mindset, and that's exactly why we've got Louistas joining us today, and he'll be with us shortly. But just a reminder, and if you missed it last week, we gave away 3 laptops. So 2 laptops we gave as part of the campaign that we ran in the Student Success Coach Facebook group. So I put a post in there a few weeks previously, and you were all able to comment on that post. And we then took the top 3 numbers of reactions to the posts. We had about 50 reactions, people motivating why they need a laptop. They didn't have a laptop or it wasn't working well, whatever reason. And then those are the finalists, and Tracy Ashington then chose one. And during the webinar, we actually got notification that we could give a second laptop. So we then took the second most notifications, and those 2 people got their laptops. And I think we might just actually want to quickly go and have a look at their photographs, because I was there this morning, and it was really amazing just to have a look and see what a difference it has made for those people. So let's just see if we can find the Facebook group quickly, and I'll share that for you all to have a look at. And just a reminder, of course, that you can actually join the Student Success Coach Facebook group and get involved in everything that we do there. And possibly if we run such competitions in the future, or not competitions, but just campaigns where we want to help people get laptops and things that they need. So let's just quickly have a look here. I think this is the first person that got their laptop. So this is Kagiso Selepe. So you can see there Kagiso. And I'm just going to add Louistas has joined us. So Louis, hello. We'll introduce you just now. I'm just sharing with everybody the fantastic webinar we had last Friday, when we actually gave away 3 laptops to very deserving people here in South Africa who possibly don't have laptops, and yet they're studying and they're trying to be successful. So we're going to talk about success just now, but I want everybody just to have a look at, what Louistas, at least what Khaiso said in the Facebook post here. Thank you so much. I've received the laptop. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'll take care of it and use it for school purposes. Fantastic. Oh, that's wonderful. And all the comments there, which was really amazing just to see everybody commenting on his success, which was great. And there's your webinar, Louistas. And here we've got the other person, Indaleke Tandazile. So Indaleke, lots of emojis there. So she's feeling very happy with the new laptop that you got there. And Louistas, good afternoon and welcome. Maybe you've got some thoughts on, the wonderful opportunity we've had to, pay it forward into these people's lives to help them be successful. And I'm thrilled to hear all about, the success mindset and the books and the courses that you've written about. So Louistas, good afternoon to you. And before we dive into your topic, your thoughts on success coming from a laptop that gets donated in a webinar to be more fruitful in your studies.
Wonderful. Thanks very much, Peter, for having me. And secondly, congratulations to all of you who have won. We do say that taking action pays, and hard works, it pays. If you didn't turn up, if you did not take part in the competition, you would not have won. But of course, thank you so much, Peter, for the job you're doing. And the donors, wow. I know how hard it is to be able to afford a laptop. But I also know how joyful it is to be able to have a laptop and pursue your studies. So congratulations to all of you who turn up. Congratulations for actually taking part and actually then being successful. We say that 80% of success is hard work. Yes, and maybe just 20% is luck. So congratulations for putting up the 80% hard work and succeeding. Peter.
Thank you, Louistas. So absolutely, let's get into it. And there you can see the original post where everybody commented. So we had 216 people commenting, and exactly as Louistas has said there, the opportunity was for you to comment on that post and then join the webinar, take those actions, improve your chances of getting the laptop and being successful as a result of that. So absolutely agree and support what Louistas has been saying there. Now, Louistas, a very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to you. And the one thing that I really like about the book that you've written and the course that you developed, which we'll be talking about, and the community that I run and the webinars we do here every week, is that both of them have the word success in them. You talk about the success mindset, and I talk about the student success coach community. So we're going to talk a lot about success today. And I think, Louistas, just reflecting on this topic of the success mindset, I can teach the techniques, I can teach the process, I can teach the principles of academic study and research and all that we cover in these webinars and in my courses and in my community and my content, etc. But actually the mindset is so important as the starting position, before you then get into what you need to do and how you need to do it. So Louistas, just break it down for us, the success mindset, and then perhaps go into why you feel so passionate about this and why you've written a book and why you've done a course and why you want people to have this success mindset in life. Louistas.
Wow, Peter, thank you so much. And once more, when we are born, you and I, we are born with everything we need to be able to be successful in life. The thing is, we don't have a choice, by the way, but we know, and science has proven that you and I can become anything that we like. You and I have the choice also to alter what people have thought we can become. And as we grow up like children, we are so enthusiastic. We learned how to speak without anybody actually teaching us. We learned how to walk without anybody actually teaching us. We were so excited. We believed we could fly. And then something somehow happens as we grow up. I don't know what that thing is, but all I know is that we can also change that thing when we know it. We can become successful as we were successful like children, to learn languages, to learn how to walk, to learn how to talk, to learn how to relate with people. When I was growing up in Cameroon several years ago, in the British Southern Cameroons, now the Amazonia, I knew that success was just about being happy. That's all I knew. We were very poor. I lived on less than $1 a week. One of 9 children. But my parents taught me to be happy and to do everything I could in every situation. So taking action to do everything that we need to do is crucial in success. And what is success? For me, success is actually first being happy in what you do, but also fulfilling your purpose. We are all born with a purpose. You and I have something that we were born to do. And if you don't do it, if I don't do it, you are depriving the world of that thing. Once you find that purpose, like Peter's found a purpose of showing the world how to be successful, students how to learn and actually become successful. Of course, there are other things that Peter's doing, and in the community he's doing as well. But he's found that purpose, and that's why we are here today. I have found a purpose of sharing with others what I have learned. In Africa, as you grow up, you are not just your parents' child, you're the child of the community. And therefore, growing up and giving back to that community is very important. So that is one thing that drives me, giving back. And I see that as a purpose. And so when I was looking at how I have grown from living on less than $1 a day, arriving in the UK with 150 pounds in my pocket, to now sitting here, Peter, and sharing this with you, with a huge community, writing a book, not just one, 2 or 3 of them, I pin it down to what I call my childhood passions and consciousness. And what I mean by this is that I look back and I remember those things my parents taught me. I remember those things that my teachers taught me. And I remember those things that I have now learned from thought leaders like Peter, yourself, people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, so many of them out there who shape or who help us to shape our minds. So success mindset is all about taking steps to make sure that you do what you have to do, not giving up, and making sure that you shape your brain and your mind to not fear, not give up, but plow on in spite of every instance of challenge in your life. Peter.
Wonderful. I had a look at your book before we came online, and you talk about doubt quite a bit. And we've got a question here from our audience, Yuso. And we record this for the podcast. So if you're listening in, I'll just read it out. But Yuso asks whether doubt is one of the biggest inhibitors of success. Louistas.
Thank you very much for asking that question. Very crucial. And indeed, the first thing is, what is doubt? Doubt is just the ability or the inability to see that you can do things, that you can become something, that you can achieve success. And where does this come from? It comes from when we are growing up, our parents were telling us, you can't talk to a stranger, or you don't do this, or you don't do that. No, 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 no. And we went to school, and what did our teachers say to us? No, you can't copy in exams, or you can't do that. You can. And then society seems to also say to us, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And we begin to believe these things. Our subconscious registers these things. And then when we begin to experience things that are related to those things that our subconscious is registering as problems, we begin to doubt. So yes, doubt can inhibit our progress. In my book there are 3 chapters actually where I talk about doubt or self-doubt affecting your work and your professional life. Think about this. When you want to start a job, if you're doubting yourself, if you're doubting your abilities, somebody who's not doubting, somebody who's got courage, they will go and get that job. If you go for an interview and you're doubting yourself, somebody who is courageous comes and gets the job. I went for an interview once for a job, and I walked in and I had the interview and I succeeded. At the end of it, one of the panelists said, when you walked in here, I knew you would get the job. And I said, why? How do you know that? So when you walked in, you were convinced. And when you spoke, you were convinced of what you were telling us, and you knew what you were talking about. So yes, self-doubt can inhibit, it can destroy our professional life. And also, what about your relationships? You might be sitting there and thinking, oh, well, how can this happen? You know, the gentleman or the lady who's admiring somebody out there and is not able to, and is scared, is not wanting to take the lead to go and say hello, you're not going to get into that relationship. Somebody who is courageous will come and sweep that person off your feet. If you're studying, if you're sitting there and doubting and not being able to go to lessons, you're not able to take action to research and write what you have to write, you're not going to do well. So yes, self-doubt is a terrible thing, and it inhibits progress.
Yeah, thanks, Louistas Nyuyse says that's very helpful. And I've just got your book up on the screen there. So just looking at the chapters, and I mean, I sort of was scrolling through there as you sort of, explain what self-doubt is. It's that voice in the back of your head that holds you back and, reduces your confidence, etc. But I'm really interested now, and perhaps you can take us through some of the principles that you talk about in the book, and I think which you've made available for free today, and I'll put the link in the chat just now. But you talk about breaking the cycle, so I think intuitively or academically, we understand this concept of self-doubt and the need for confidence to be successful in the world. And we look at successful people and we see that they are fairly confident. Yet, we don't know what it is that we need to do. We know what we need to get to, but because we can see it in them. But, breaking the cycle of our own self-doubt, lack of self-confidence, help us with that as a technique that you've studied and speak about in your book, Louistas.
Wonderful. Breaking the cycle of self-doubt. First, we've got to go back and look at where it comes from. Like I mentioned briefly, it comes from our parents, our teachers, our society. And what do we do to break this? First, we got to recognize that it is a normal human thing. Self-doubt is normal. We've got to accept that it's normal. You and I, we will doubt ourselves once upon a time. But how do we get out of this rut? I suggest 3 ways. I'm going to summarize them. One of the ways of breaking this self-doubt is through what I call autosuggestion, where once you have known that you are doubting yourself, and it comes in ways like procrastination, fear, low self-esteem, others are better than me, or I can't do this, I can't do that. Once you realize that you are having these negative thoughts and inability to act, autosuggestion is about telling yourself that first, you are good enough, that you are worth it, that you can do it. And every night when you're going to bed, say to yourself, I am able to do this. I am capable of passing my exams. I'm capable of completing this research. I am capable of doing this job. I am capable of being in this relationship. I am able to. And of course, as you sleep, your subconscious records this. And when you get up in the morning, all it does, it plays it back. You know, once I misplaced my keys, and I didn't know where they were, and I was going to bed, and I just said to myself, I'm going to find these keys in the morning. You know what? I woke up from bed and walked to the garden and picked up the keys from there. I don't know what it and how it happened. It just happened.
Yeah.
The second way is maybe modeling. As Peter mentioned, there are people who have succeeded. You know, there are only few life stories. They have been acted and written about. And what you need to do is to find somebody who has done this, like Peter and myself. And this is why we are here. Model what we have done that works and just follow it. And there are so many examples out there. And maybe the last thing which we could do to break out of this cycle is to take massive action. You have seen it. We congratulated people here who they attended the session and commented and won a laptop. Ladies and gentlemen, if that is not success, what is that? Taking massive action to change your circumstances, to do something about that self-doubt, to actually improve your circumstances and yourself. Peter.
Wonderful. Luis, that's very inspiring, and thank you for that. On your modeling topic, one of the features of the community is a podcast where I interview people like yourself and other successful students and talk about their journey. And podcast is a wonderful medium for sort of audio content where maybe perhaps you're driving in the car and you'd want to get away from a screen or go for a walk, etc. But still try to profile people who have overcome difficulties and who have, had perhaps journeys where they've struggled and had self-doubt and issues with self-confidence, and yet still gone on to succeed or get that degree or get that PhD. I've even spoken to people who have got 2 PhDs, someone who's got 6 degrees, somebody that gave birth to twins during their master's program. And they talk in the podcast about rocking their baby in one arm and typing their thesis, with the other arm, etc. We've also interviewed people like P. Pacific a couple of weeks ago, who's just launched a book, actually, and he talks about when he was a refugee from Rwanda, ended up being a car guard in Durban, and then became a Nelson Mandela Rhodes Scholar and is now leading an international business school across Africa. So that modeling is a big feature of this community. And all I've done is to provide the platform within which people get exposed to those models and those success stories. So I'm thrilled that that success mindset is something that inadvertently, hopefully, we've managed to create through the profiling of those people on the podcast. And I put the link to the pod in the chat there. And Zanelli says, this is powerful. So, yeah, fantastic, Louistas. I put the link to your book there. Now, very importantly, guys, the link is there for the book. But when you get the book and you get advantage from that, what we really need you to do is to please leave a rating and a review on Amazon for Louistas' book. And that rating and review will improve his search ranking on Amazon and just get the word out there. And this inspirational, powerful message will be able to reach more people. And Delia asks whether self-doubt is that little voice at the back of your mind that makes you nervous, doubt things, always bad? And Louistas, I mean, I'll give you a chance now, but my sense is that I don't think it's entirely bad. I think it might have negative connotations because people haven't overcome it. So it might be the result of not overcoming it that has held you back. But I think it's something that you should embrace because it's almost a challenge. And I've welcomed it when people said to me, Peter, you can't do that, or you can't achieve that, or I don't think you're capable. Fantastic. I love a challenge. Off I go. Now, whether it's my own voice in my mind telling me that I can't do it, and that's the self-doubt that we're talking about here, for me, if I can overcome it and I use your steps to do that, then it's fantastic because I proved it wrong. What do you think?
Absolutely, Peter. Thank you so much. And thanks for that question. And thanks for those who are already downloading the book. And I thank you in advance for leaving a review there for us. Indeed, Peter, self-doubt is not a bad thing. Like I said, we've got to recognize that it is a human thing. It is a human characteristics for us to doubt. And of course, sometimes we go to doubt ourselves, right? You remember when we were children and we took our finger and put on a candle? Well, we didn't doubt that we didn't know what was going to happen. But our parents knew what was going to happen and they told us not to. But anyway, we went on and burned our finger and never did it again. So next time we saw a candle, what do? We doubted whether we should now touch it or not. And I think, as Peter said, there are so many people who have come from adversity to grace. Self-doubt sometimes can help. You know, if we become too confident, we can become slightly arrogant. I have got to question myself. For example, am I capable of coming here and speaking to you or with you about something which I'm so passionate about? I've got to think, am I the expert here? I've got to think, what I'm setting out to do, should I or should I not do it? We've got to ask ourselves those questions. But how do we overcome this? You know, if we ask these questions and they bring us down and they keep us low, then it becomes a bad thing. But if we ask these questions and they push us upwards towards success, then it becomes a good thing. And the thing is, once we recognize that we are having a bit of doubt, it is actually a good thing because that is setting us for more success. And once you overcome that doubt, it just moves you to the next rung to begin to access more success. So yes, indeed, that little voice, it is sometimes good, but if you allow it, it will sink us. Remember, our brains are wired in such a way that we don't need to do anything to become look, with this pen, I don't need to think of a good thing to do with this pen. No, I actually do need to. But I can instantly think of several bad things I can do with this pen, just holding it. And that is how our brains are wired, to be lazy, to do wrong things. And so we've got to train our brains to recognize that voice and actually say to the brain, enough is enough. I am better than this, and I will succeed, and I will overcome the self-doubt. Peter.
Yeah. And I think, you bring in this idea of these sort of two-sided conversations that we have in our brains. And, you tend to listen to one or the other and it will become more or less dominant, right? And I suppose the risk is you can become too confident and overstretch, right? But if we don't start speaking back to that self-doubt, then we don't feed and develop our internal ability to have those intellectual arguments or debates within us, if you like. And it leads very nicely into this question that we've got here. And I always ask when I've got experts on our webinar, and yourself, Louistas, as an expert on the success mindset, and fantastic that you've written a book and got a course out there, and I'm sure thousands of people will benefit from that. But let's see if we can help Nonhlanhla right now. And she says here, I have done everything for myself, but every time when I'm at the winning point, something comes and I get discouraged. I feel like I'm wasting time then. So obviously there'd be a lot more detail and context to this, But Louistas, can we coach and help Nonchalanchla to develop a success mindset based on this question right now?
Absolutely, Peter. And Nonchandler, thanks very much for that question. You know, the road to success is thorny. It is not straight. Let me tell you, once you succeed in one thing, the devil comes in and brings 10 more to destroy that thing. If you can imagine that kind of imagery. And what we need to do is to realize that that is actually the case. When some people succeed in one thing, they forget that once you are walking and you take one step, the next step is not the end. It is just a prelude to the next step. And that is how we walk. If you're going to arrive somewhere and you're going to walk, one step must precede the other and the other must follow the other. If you do the opposite, you are going backwards. So that's the first thing. We've got to recognize that and realize that success is about progress. The second thing is that once you succeed, you've got to count your blessings. Somewhere in the book there, I talk about keeping the positive things, remembering the positive things that you have done, and also celebrating your successes. And once you do this, you lock that into your brain and you tell your subconscious that these are the good things to uphold and to continue doing. And I have a book here, a folder here where I keep very good, important things. When I have a major success in life, I put it in there. When somebody sends me a card, which I'm so enthralled about, I put it in there. Once I am low, I pick that up and I look at it and I remember those positive things. They help me to move on. And thirdly, if you remember that the success you are having is not just one step, then you are not going to succeed and fall backwards. Just keep on. The reason for which we are here is to help you to make sure that you don't fall backwards. And the last thing I can share about that, Peter, is having some form of a community where you come back all the time and get reminded, get refilled, get re-inspired and motivated to keep on. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, so the last point there that you made, Louistas, about the community, thank you for joining us in the Facebook group. And I'm looking forward, if you're able to share a few posts and updates and links to your books and courses will be very helpful if you are willing and able to contribute into the community that we have in the Facebook group. And I'll put the link there for anybody who hasn't yet joined the Facebook group. It's not just about laptops. That's one fantastic benefit that you get, and you have to take action. But the Student Success Coach Facebook group is really that community for inspiring people to be successful in their studies, work, and life. As you point out, their community is so important. I want to go back to what you're talking about, the progress and the steps. And one of the techniques that I teach in managing time and beating procrastination, specifically with regards to succeeding at your studies, is to develop a daily habit of managing your tasks. And I teach the Kanban principle of visualizing in your workspace the backlog or the to-do list that you have of your tasks. And then with the Kanban columns, the tasks then that are in progress for that day, so that you can very clearly see the 2 or 3 tasks that you need to get done that day. And then the column on the right-hand side is for what you've done, what you've completed, and what you can then celebrate. And I think, Louistas, what you're saying, can be applied at the big level of completing a PhD, and you walk across the stage and you get your degree, and that could be a definition of success. But what I try and instill in our community is a daily mindset of success, that I can be successful every day. And those are the steps that you were talking about, which add up to the PhD. And we've got lots of examples in our group where I invite people to burn their boats and hold themselves accountable to the tasks that they need to complete just for that day. So we've had people come on and say, today in this community, I want you to hold me accountable for completing task 1, 2, and 3. And then on their Kanban board, they've got task 1, 2, and 3. And they are then emotionally invested in completing those tasks. So they'll overcome procrastination. They won't want to let us down in the community. So they're not going to watch Netflix. They're not going to browse Facebook. They're not going to go to the movies. They may even get over their mental health issues. And we've spoken about this a lot previously, because there are reasons for anxiety and discouragement. But once you've got that emotional connection to a commitment that you made, the brain, as you say, becomes rewired. It becomes much more focused into avoiding letting people down and further emotional distress. Therefore, you get those tasks done, right? You don't overcome procrastination by rationalizing about the benefits of doing something. And I teach in one of my courses on procrastination. You don't go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning because you list all the benefits of being fit. You go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning because you've committed to meet your friend there, and you don't want to let your friend down because you'll feel bad. There'll be a negative emotional consequence to you for not taking that action. So, Louistas, I mean, a lot of what you've spoken about there. And the last point I wanted to make was that, as you say, and I think Nonchalancha was saying, she gets to the winning post right at the end and then something happens. And my advice to Nonchalancha would be turn around, look at those 99 steps that you've taken. Maybe that last step, that was the big one, and that was important for you to get whatever that final goal was. But bank the 99 steps. And whether that's experience that you've gained from that, maybe it's lessons that you've learned from those 99 steps. If you still have to go back and do those 99 steps again to take that final step, at least those 99 steps will be easier the next time that you do it. So, Nonchalancha, hopefully, what Louistas said was useful. I don't know specifically what, you were trying to achieve, but a lot of what we speak about, in terms of being successful at studies and the Kanban boards and burn your boats and being accountable in the community, I think linked in, quite nicely with what Louistas was saying there. Louistas, another fantastic question here from Funanani. And he asks, you said something about finding your purpose. How can I find my purpose at this young age? I feel like at this point I have doubt because I'm not even sure of what I want. Louistas.
Wonderful. Thanks very much, Peter. And thanks very much, Fananini, for that question. And before I answer that question, can I just add to what Peter's just said? And I share what I do. I have my daily journal. You can see that every day I have goals and I write them down. And I can tell you this, 3 goals that must be achieved before 11 a.m. and then other things that I need to do during the day. Now, those first 3 goals, if I don't achieve them by midnight, I am not going to bed. And my brain can say what it wants. I have sat here till 5 a.m. saying I want to go to bed. Hello, my brain, it doesn't play tricks with me. It has to obey me. I have to do it. And that's one thing I suggest too that you could do. So let's come back to the question here. Finding your purpose. That is something which there's a course coming up on finding your purpose. Remember, I said that you are born for a reason. I was born for a reason. Billions of us. Out of these billions, there is something that you and you alone came to this earth to do. And at the end of your life, if you don't do it, hello, the ghosts will be asking you, why did you not put us into existence? But how do you find this purpose? There are 1 or 2 ways. One is to listen to your inside and to listen to the story that keeps coming back over and over to yourself. What is it that you're passionate about? What is it that when you're going to bed, you're thinking about that you can do and feel happy and feel fulfilled? What is it that you can close your eyes and do without necessarily thinking about? And keep a record of these things. So many things will come into your life. And as you get exposed, as you grow up, my children here, one of them tells me, or used to tell me, she would be a swimming instructor when she started swimming because she admired how the swimming instructors were helping her. Sooner or later, when she listened to me doing calls during my property investment calls and talking to investors, she started thinking, oh, no, I'm going to be a property investor. Now she thinks she's going to be a ballerina because she started learning how to dance. So all these things are coming to her mind. But the question I ask her is, what gives you joy? What is the one thing out of these things that makes you feel happy? And if you think about what makes you happy, what makes you feel passionate about a certain thing, keep a record and begin to eliminate them. And that might help you to find your purpose. But it might change in the future. Just think about what makes you happy, passionate, and pursue it as much as you can.
Yeah, I love that, Louistas. And what I actually just quickly want to show you was in our Facebook group, the example that I was talking about just now. So what you see on the screen there is Ramona. And Ramona says to everybody at 7:30, I think it was, on the 8th of April, 2021. Let me just take that comment away there. Today, I'm burning my boats by committing to do 3 units of my law of evidence module by midnight tonight. So exactly what you were saying there. Yeah, exactly what you were saying there. I'm going to get these things done by midnight tonight. And you've got that in your journal. And what I offer to everybody in the Facebook community is to have that accountability with us. It's a safe space. There's no supervisors. There's no one checking you there, but you make an emotional connection with us by specifically stating what it is that you're going to get done. And then we encourage and we support. And I said, congrats for firstly burning your boats. Congratulations. That's the first step. Let us know your progress during the day. And I said, even if you don't get 3 done, it's more than if you hadn't burnt your boats, right?
Absolutely.
So again, those steps, so she's committed to do 3. Even if she only does 2, celebrate that progress, exactly what you're saying. And then what I want to show you quickly is she says here, I'm not sleeping until I'm done with part 3. I'll send a snap.
Yes.
And there's her pictures of her work done 3 hours later. Thank you for support. Fantastic. And we all supported her in doing that. So I just really wanted to go back to that as being such a powerful technique or mechanism, if you like, for making success, for achieving success by committing and being detailed orientated. So we've got some lovely feedback here. Management Revolution says, wow, what gives you joy and what makes you happy leads you to your purpose. So that was your answer to the question just now about purpose, which is fantastic. And Nonchalanchla says, thank you. Happy emoji there. So a bit of success mindset coming through on a Friday afternoon. And Fanani says, thank you so much. So Louistas, really appreciate that. And I put the link to Louistas' book in the comments. And I'm also going to put a link to Louistas' online course, which he's also made available for free, which you can go and experience Louistas teaching you on the screen about success and going through the worksheets and the activities that he's got available for you. And there, once again, please do leave a rating and a review for Louistas. Next question.
Thanks, Peter. Before the next question, I really just I'm just inspired to say, look, for all of you who are listening right now, can just repeat after me. It's not over until it's done. Just repeat after me. It's not over until it's done. And
Exactly.
Congratulations to Ramona for actually putting that into practice. There is this story of a gentleman, a son and a father. They used to play this game, and the father was winning all the time. And the son became so discouraged. And one day he said to himself, he will win. But the dad also always said, it's not over until it's done. And they played this game till midnight. And the dad was so tired, wanted to go to bed. And the son said, no, Dad, it's not over until I win. They played for 3 more hours, nearly falling asleep. And when he won, he then said, Dad, let's go to bed. It's not over until I win. Peter.
Absolutely. So we're going to go to this question, and then I'm going to put your course up on the screen, and we can talk about that as well. But Dennis, I think this is an important question here. How is the lack of support from your family or community a barrier to a person's success?
Thanks very much, Dennis. That's a very, very good question. in Africa, for example, our families, our community, and in other places in the world, the families and communities are very important. And you know, the definition of man in one of the definitions of man in Africa is man as community, where our communities somehow make us who we are or sometimes break us. But here is the thing: if you realize that your family or your community is dragging you down, is not helping you to succeed, congratulations, you are in a good place. Right down there where you are is where you can move up. Because we say, once you realize that there is a problem, you have the chance to find a solution. And that is why we're here.
Mm,
We go back again to modeling, to community, where
mm,
you can say goodbye to some of those people and join a community like this one. I'm not telling you to forgo your family, but hey, Les Brown talks about practicing
mm,
what he calls QEP, quality people or only quality people. When you find people in your life who are dragging you down, continue to relate with them, but take a step further. Instead of spending time talking about the negative things with them,
mm,
talk about positive things. Instead
mm,
of listening to the negativity, listen to people who are talking positively. You know, there's a story also of a gentleman who was asked why he was always in trouble. He said, well, everywhere I go, trouble seems to follow me. Hello, trouble seems to follow him? No. If he has that type of a mindset, trouble will follow him. He will find trouble. And therefore, maybe let's talk about this. Our thoughts lead to our actions. Our actions leads to results. And if you
mm,
know that your family members, your community are dragging you down, think about positive thoughts. Think positively. Find something positive to talk about.
mm.
And those positive thoughts will help you to begin to see some positivity and realize the positive things that you can do with the family or with community as well. But remember, success is yours. 80% of the people will be happy that you failed, and maybe 20% might be happy. But it's all on you,
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah. Wonderful. And I think just, your identification of those sort of cultural considerations, I think is very important. And equally important is the awareness of the self in many different cultures around the world, and how that reflects on the community and how it is informed by the community and the culture. And we all come from so many different backgrounds and have many different, viewpoints, but more and more we're realizing that self has to play a sufficiently strong enough role in your worldview and in the thoughts and the
Yes.
actions that you have every day. And it's not about being selfish, it's about being self-conscious and aware of the important role that self must play in self-actualization. We talk about self-actualization. I want to become the person that I want to become. And as you say, you will have people around you that are going to play either a positive or a negative role in that. And it is important to listen and to learn and to be guided by them. But, and again, through age and wisdom and experience, your maturity in doing that will develop over time. But fantastic lessons there from Louistas in terms of talking us through some of the considerations. Louistas, I want you to just put your course up on the screen and share that with everybody, because you've got both the book and the course. So maybe just explain to us how the book and the course are related, and then people can have a look at it. And I've put the link to the course in the chat for everybody to go and register. And what I'd really like to see, Louistas, is that we get you more than one student that you've got there so far. Um, so I'd like 50, all 82 of you watching now, to go and click on this course, register, and give lots of ratings for Louistas to boost his Udemy profile. Louistas, explain to us your course a bit there, please.
Thanks very much, Peter. And thanks very much for the comments, everybody, and the questions that are coming. with this course, if you go there right now, you will have a coupon. I think, Peter, the password is success mindset, all capital letters and all one word. If you go there right now, you will have a coupon. Just put that coupon in, and it will get you into this course and give you a very mighty discount. Well, overcoming self-doubt is, as we've been discussing, is a major thing to success. The book, The Success Mindset, has been written in consideration of the actions that we need to take to become more confident and more successful. This course is supporting material to this book. It gives you several steps and gives you practical actions and strategies to take. You know, therein, I talk about what self-doubt does to you. And really, when you look at those, when you go through those first lessons, sometimes when I finish those lessons, I felt slightly sad to realize that that is what actually self-doubt can do to us. And then we move on to giving you strategies. And after every section, I give you even more free materials, so many PDF documents that you can read further. There is a workbook there, which is equally as big as the book that we've just given you. Please go through that workbook. It is there. It gives you time, statements, affirmations, things that you can say to yourself, things that you can do for yourself. It's more like a plan of action. Once you finish every lesson, there is something for you to do to improve yourself. And I encourage you to use that worksheet or that workbook daily. And if you don't have a planner, that workbook can become like a planner for you. So I encourage you to have a look, read it, go through. It's actually video based, but there are PDFs there for you to actually go through and let us know what you think. And I am believing so much right now that many of you who are going to go through and get this course, that you will be as confident as you would like to be. Peter.
Wonderful, Louistas. And I see it's very specific. You know, there's steps and there's worksheets, and you've really gone through this, I think, in your own life, as you were speaking about earlier, and developed these techniques and can talk about that from experience, which I think is also important. But then you've documented that in detail in your book, and you've explained it, and you teach it in this course, and you support that learning process with those guides and the workbook that people can download and use to be successful. So, Louistas, thank you for sharing this. We've got a couple more questions which we'll take. But once again, please do enroll for this course, and you'll be able to enroll, I think, in the next couple of days with that free access link that I put in the chat. But once you've enrolled, you'll always have access to it. So enroll and do the course as quickly as possible. But it doesn't mean that course will go away once that coupon expires. You can go in, enroll in the course the next couple of days, and then always have access to it. And I'm sure, Louistas, like I do with my courses, you'll be adding more lessons and adding announcements and, possibly promotions again in the future, so that people can really start to build a relationship with you as their success coach. And from a mindset perspective, as I said, really would be valuable to have you contributing into our student success coach and helping people with those student questions. And that's really what I want to touch on now from a student perspective. And a couple of questions here, two related points from Yuso. The first one saying, I would like to get a PhD and I'm willing to dedicate my life for it. And I think I may be increasing my chances of failure through fear or limiting my failure if I don't get the PhD. And then this follow-on question, which we can then discuss, Louistas, is that they have a passion and what they think is a purpose. But am I wrong to think I will not be able to fulfill my passion without getting the PhD that I want? So in other words, are they putting all their eggs in one basket of this PhD, thinking that it's the one thing they need to fulfill their purpose and achieve their definition or their family and friends' definition or the world's definition of success by having that qualification achieved? And how do we coach Yuso around that? Because, getting a PhD or not is quite quite a binary thing, right? You either get a PhD or you don't, and it's a massive investment of time, in the 4 or 5 years that it's going to take you to get there. So how can we just help Yuso organize his thinking a bit?
Thanks very much for the question, Yuso, and it's a wonderful question. But let's take a step back and look at some of the things we've said already, from what Ramona said, what Peter shared about actually taking steps to achieving success. The thing is that once you achieve success in one thing, just remember that it is a step to the next thing. It is never the end. But sometimes what we call fear can sabotage our success. And I sense this is what is happening here. Remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. Have you ever touched fear? Have you ever, look, I can be scared of jumping out of this house, but if I jump out, what happens? I just realize, oh, I just did it. The fear is not a physical reality. But what might help in this situation is for you to think about this PhD as a step to another level of success, so that once you achieve that success and you actually get that PhD, it should be a stepping stone to something greater. And I dare say to you, when you find your purpose, and if you think that this PhD is something you have to do, nature collaborates with you. And if you talk about it to everybody, if you convince your mind that this is what you're going to do, nature helps you out. Once I was stuck somewhere some years ago. I'd gone out to a station, outstation in a village where there was no car. And we were there in the night, and we didn't know how we were going to trek like 15 miles back. And we stood there, said a prayer, convinced ourselves that we were going to do it. From nowhere, a car was driving past and it was empty. We asked the guy where he was going. He said he was just driving. He took us there to where we wanted to go. When you convince yourself and find your purpose and believe in it, nature helps. And that's partly why we're here. Who knows why we're here today? Who told you? If somebody told you yesterday that you will be here today, you might not have believed it. If somebody asked you, would you be able to attend this today and get some benefit? You would not know. But because you did, because you had it in your mind, you were here and you're getting benefit.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Peter. I think looking at time there, we just end that question.
No, Louistas, what I just wanted to double check, if you could just have a look at that land, because I've tried it and it seems like that coupon has expired. So we want to be able to give people free access. So if you could just log on there to your Udemy instructor dashboard and just double check that you've shared a currently active free coupon, then what I want to do is just to quickly touch on the points that we were discussing with the PhD. And the point that I wanted to go back to was the first part of that question, Yuso, where you said you're willing to dedicate your life to it. Now, importantly, Louistas has said it doesn't have to be your life, and it's possibly not going to be the one thing, because once you get there, it's not going to completely satisfy you. It'll just be a stepping stone to the next thing. But I want to just touch on this commitment that you've made now, where you are willing to put the time and effort into and sufficient dedication to achieve that goal. If that's the case, then what I can say from my own experience of doing a PhD is that the most important thing is for you to choose a topic and a problem to solve that you are passionate about, and that you will then find enough interest in and motivation in to get through the hard work that the PhD will take. Okay? And there's lots of webinars that we've done and people that we've interviewed that can help you refine that topic. And that's all going to be contained in the development of what will be your research proposal. And that really is the key. That's the golden key to unlocking a successful a PhD. Because it's not just about having the qualification. That's great, and that can open some doors, but it's also about spending your time researching a problem that is important to you, makes a contribution to the world, and gets you through all the hard work that you're going to have to put in to achieve the PhD. So I see Louistas there is just grabbing us an active coupon, or creating a new one, possibly, Louistas, that we can share with everybody, that will then give everybody access into your course for free, which I think is a massive benefit to everybody joining the webinar today. But Yuso, just give us some feedback and let me know if that's useful. And in the Facebook group later today, if you haven't joined us yet, I'll put Louistas active coupon for free access to his course, and I will create a link to my research proposal course, which you can then also do for free, and at least go through the process of understanding how to develop a research proposal. And that research proposal is a relatively low investment of time and energy, but will define enough for you around the PhD that can answer, I think, the questions that you have as to whether it's worth doing, and linking all of your hopes and desires to, not just because it's a qualification, but because it's a topic and a research problem that is sufficiently motivating enough for you and makes a significant enough contribution to the world. So I'm hoping that I've just made that distinction for you between doing the PhD as a degree, as an outcome, as well as the topic and the problem specifically that you want to solve. So Yuso, I'd love some feedback from you there as whether that was useful as well. Dennis says, how is doing a course that does not make you happy yet you are doing well in it affect the success of a person, and why should one choose a course that makes them happy? I guess you're talking about a university course or a module. So Dennis, all I can say is that, once you've embarked on a overall objective that you want to achieve in your life, you have to recognize that some steps are going to be easier than others. Some steps are going to be more self-evident in how they motivate you than others. Some are just going to be a grudge that you have to complete to get that overall objective. And so the techniques that we've spoken about, like just now, like accountability and emotional connection into tasks, that helps you avoid the procrastination and the delay tactics, because if something is not making you happy, you're not going to feel willing and motivated to do it. And I think that, Dennis, is what you're talking about. And just be very clear in your mind, and have a debits and a credits. What are the things that make you happy about the overall objective? What are the things that don't make you happy? The things that don't make you happy, you're going to have to put some different strategies in place to get those done. And it's like that self-doubt that we spoke about right at the beginning. Identify that self-doubt, identify those things that don't make you happy, and find a way to get them done, because you don't want to compromise the overall objective just because you don't want to do those few things that don't make you happy. However, if it's the entire plan or objective that you want to achieve that isn't making you happy, then perhaps you need to reevaluate. But Dennis, from what I can see from your question, it feels to me like it's one course within an overall degree or an overall qualification that perhaps you're not feeling too happy about. So Yuso says, thank you very much. Significant help for me as a student. I'll try and consume all of your work as I see it will help. I'll have a test soon, so I regret to say I have to leave the session. Okay, Yuso, well, very important that you go off and do the test. And Louistas, I'm just hoping that you've managed to create a new coupon for us. If you have, can you let us know what the details of that are, or I will put it into the Facebook group later for everybody to click on. Louistas.
I think we will put it in the Facebook group, Peter.
Okay.
I'm having a bit of a challenge completing it here.
No problem. Louistas, let's then take that action after the session, and I'll get that from you, and I will just tag you in the Facebook post so that you can remind everybody to use that updated link. But Louistas, in the last minute that we've got together, Yuso certainly indicated very glad to have come across this source of help. Well done to you for taking action and joining us today. And then I says thanks to you both, Peter and Louistas, informative session with so many takeaways for the journey towards our success. Louistas, closing thoughts and comments on a success mindset.
Wonderful, Peter. Thank you so much once more for having me today. And this is a great show. And I thank all of you who have turned up. Thank you for taking action, and thanks for embracing your purpose and searching for ways to actually make that purpose become real. You see, when I was growing up, my dad always told me to do whatever it takes. And I have continued with that principle. I make sure that everything I do in my life, I put in my best. You can't believe that when I moved to the UK and I was studying, I was working in the shipyards in the night to pay for my fees. And during the day, I will be sitting in front of the lecturer. Sometimes I wonder whether I'm seeing or not seeing. And I had to succeed. And I knew that I had a reason for studying. I had a why. What is your why? What is the reason for you doing what you're doing? What's the reason for which you're studying? If that reason is strong enough, anything that challenges that reason, you're going to overcome it. If your desire for success is strong enough, there is nothing that will stop it. And if you join a community like this one, which continues to motivate, to encourage, and to teach us how to become successful, you're definitely going to succeed. Like I said, this is what successful people do. They find the people who've done it and have succeeded, and they sit on their feet like the disciples. That's the word disciple means, really somebody who sits at the feet of another and learn. And that is what I do every day. I learn from the best. I turn up to shows like this from the best, and I encourage you to do the best you can. Go to that Success Mindset book, read it, leave us a comment on how it is helping you. And also in the student success group, I shall be there to share some tips as well. Thank you very much for the invite, Peter, and for accepting me into the community. And hopefully, by sharing together, we all grow together, we all succeed together. Peter.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Louistas. And I just quickly want to come back to the answer I gave Yuso about his PhD and the why. I think in his case, he must also derive from his topic and the problem that he wants to solve with his research. I don't think it's enough to say, I want to do a PhD and that will motivate me. It's too long and too hard to hold on to just the attainment of a qualification. I think you also have to be passionate about why the contribution that you make from your research will motivate you and solve other people's problems in the world. And that's why the reason I've set up this community, because I believe in the academic process of solving big problems in the world. I believe in the rigor of doing postgraduate academic work. And I believe in everybody who is pursuing intellectual degrees and qualifications in the hopes of helping us all understand more about the world around us. So, and we have such a range from medicine to engineering to any other faculty. Within those domains, people get passionate about something that they want to do and a topic that they want to research and solve. I want to take what Louistas was saying about finding your why and then linking that to the research that you're doing, the qualification that you're following and spending time and money on to derive the motivation and the success mindset that Louistas teaches in his book, in his course, and that he's very helpfully today outlined for us in this webinar. So Louistas, I'm going to take you up on your commitment to be active in our group and to motivate and to help people and to be available if anybody has questions or self-doubt and needs a bit of a boost and a reminder about the importance of having a success mindset on a daily basis. So thank you to Louistas. Thank you, everybody that's contributed. Louistas, have a super day.
Thanks very much, Peter. Thanks, everybody. And really have a lovely day. Be happy, brighten your corner, and be joyful and successful. I'll see you in the chat box. I mean, in the group as well. Thank you so much. I'll take the challenge, Peter.
Thank you, Louistas. Bye-bye.
Wonderful.